All right, today we're going to talk about a piece of technology that's really set to, well, to completely reshape our economy. And look, this isn't some sci-fi concept from the future. It's being built as we speak, and it's called an agentic workflow. So, what on earth is it, and why should you care? Let's get into it.
Yeah, right out of the gate, you can see the stakes are just incredibly high. The source material for this whole explainer makes this massive claim. We're not talking about a cute new app or some little productivity hack. No, we're talking about a fundamental shift in the economy. And to really get why, we've got to first understand the problem it's trying to solve.
And that whole problem, it kicks off with this idea of the AI overhang. Just think of it as this giant, almost unbelievable gap between what our current AI models can do and how we're actually using them in the real world.
Now, the really interesting thing here is why this gap even exists. For most people, AI has basically become a superpowered search engine, right? Or maybe a clever copy-paste assistant. We are literally treating this revolutionary new engine of creation like it's a simple calculator. We have this huge ocean of potential, and most of us are just kind of dipping a toe in.
Here's a great way to think about it. Picture the entire economy as a massive river of value, just constantly flowing. Now, throughout all of human history, every big technological leap, the printing press, the internet, has basically built new dams and channels, diverting huge streams of that value. And the people who learn how to build and control those new channels, well, they're the ones who benefit the most.
So what is it that makes an agentic workflow the next great channel? I mean, how is it really any different from the chatbots we've all been messing around with? Well, the answer is in this really critical leap from just a simple two-way interaction to dynamic two-way action. And this just lays it out perfectly. I mean, we started with static documents, books, articles, which was all one-way communication. Then, boom, chatbots came along and allowed for a two-way conversation. But agents are the next major rung on that ladder. They don't just talk to you, they actually do things for you. They can execute tasks, they can operate software, they can take real action in the digital world. Okay, and this right here, this is the big aha moment. For years, if you wanted to build any kind of automation, you had to be an expert. You had to know how to wire together these ridiculously complex, technical-looking nodes. It was a super specialized, difficult skill. The new way? You just write down what needs to happen, step by step, in plain English. That's it. You describe the process, and the agent builds the automation.
But wait a second. This brings up a huge question. We all know that AI models, these large language models, they're creative, they're flexible, and let's be honest, sometimes they're completely unpredictable. So how in the world can you possibly trust one with a critical business task?
So this is the puzzle we have to solve, right? How do you get a system that works on probabilities, which is basically just making really good creative guesses, to do work that has to be precise and 100% reliable every single time? Like sending an invoice or managing a critical database.
And you can see that fundamental conflict right here. An LLM is absolutely fantastic for brainstorming marketing slogans because its creativity is exactly what you want. But you would never, ever trust it to calculate your company's payroll. For that, you need deterministic code, something predictable, reliable, but totally rigid. The two have always seemed like oil and water.
Well, the breakthrough is this framework that actually combines the best of both. It's called Directive Orchestration Execution, or DOE for short. It's simple, really. You provide the directive. That's just the instructions. The AI agent then acts as the orchestrator, the brain, using its intelligence to figure out the goal and make decisions. But, and this part is absolutely key, the actual work gets passed off to the hands, which is deterministic, reliable code that executes the task perfectly, every single time.
Okay, so now let's zoom way out and see how all this builds into something truly massive. Because when you combine this brand new, super simple way of building automation with a framework that actually makes it reliable, you don't just get a small upgrade. You unlock a change that feels a lot more like a new industrial revolution.
See, the real power here isn't about automating 100% of a single job. That's the old way of thinking about this stuff. The source material for this explainer calls the new paradigm horizontal leverage. And once you really wrap your head around this concept, the scale of the change becomes absolutely staggering.
I mean, just look at the raw numbers here. Vertically automating one person's entire job is really hard, and at the end of the day, it gets you 1 unit of value. But what if you could horizontally automate, say, 90% of the boring, repetitive tasks across 10,000 different jobs? All of a sudden, you've created 9,000 units of value. It's not just a bigger number, it's a completely different economic reality.
9,000 times. That's the kind of potential multiplier we're talking about here. This isn't just an incremental improvement. This is a total phase change in how economic value gets created.
The Industrial Revolution gave us the loom, right? A fixed machine that did one thing incredibly well. This new revolution, it gives us a loom that can be instantly reconfigured into any machine we can possibly imagine, just by describing what we want in plain English. That is the insane flexibility and power we're talking about with agentic workflows.
And that really brings us to the one final question that truly matters. This isn't some what-if scenario anymore. It's happening right now. So the choice isn't if this change is going to happen, but what your role in it is going to be. Will you be one of the architects building these new systems, or will you be managed by them?